enlargements is what we're looking at in this video. It's split into three parts. So first, we're going to start off by looking at enlarging shape. And then we're going to look at enlarging shape where we've been given the center of enlargement. And then we're going to look at how to describe an enlargement that's already taken place. So the way my videos work, I'm going to do the example on the left, which is I do. You are then going to press pause and I've got the example on the right, which is you do. Now I have linked these slides down below. So do print them off so you can work with me. So here we've been asked to enlarge the shape by a scale factor 2. Enlarge just means to make it bigger. And by a scale factor of 2 just means here, each side at the minute is 2 by 2. And we just want to make it twice as big. So to make this twice as big, each side is just going to be 4 by 4. So we're just going to times each side by 2. And that becomes that. So hopefully you've pressed pause and I've got the example on the right. So here we are enlarging the shape by a scale factor of 3, which means each side is going to be 3 times bigger. So if I start off by this side here, that's going to be 3 times 3, which is 9. So that's your 9 there. Now if I look at this side, that side's 3. So we're going to go 3 there. This side's going to be 3 times 2, which is 6. So that will be 6 there. And then this side here is just going to be 1 times 3, which is 3. The next side's going to be a 3. And then we can just connect the last bit together. So just pick one side and then you can figure the rest out from there. Just multiply each side by 3. So sometimes you can be asked to do it with a fraction. And in this case, it's saying enlarge it by a factor of 1 over 3. So it's saying make it smaller by a third. So divide each side by 3. So at the minute, if we start off by looking at this side, for example, we have 3, 6, 9. So this side has 9 squares. If I divide that by 3, that gives me a 3. So that means this side's going to be 3. If I look at this side, that means this side's also going to be 3 because it's 9 squares, times that by a third. And that's what that looks like. So here, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go. So here we are enlarging it by a scale factor of a half. So that it's going to be half the size it is. So again, if I start off by this side here, for example, that is 6. The height of that is 6. If I half that, that becomes 3. If I then look at the top, that becomes 1. If I then look at the side, the 4 becomes a 2. And then you can just carry on in that manner. And that is that. So here's some practice questions. Press pause now and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. And now moving on. So here we're doing the exact same thing, but this time if you're given a center of enlargement, what does that mean? So that means you've got this point here. So it's saying enlarge it by a scale factor of 2. So we're still making this shape twice as big as it was, but we can't just put it anywhere. We have to take this point into account. So the way you do that is if I use a different color, you count how many squares it takes to get to one of the points. If I start off by looking at this point, we have to go 3 across and 1 up. And now all you have to do is multiply that by the scale factor. So the scale factor in the question here is 2. So we are just going to multiply this by 2 and this by 2. So that then means we have this point ends up being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it ends up going up by 2. So that's where that point ends up. Now that we have that point, we don't need to do the same thing for the rest of them. We can draw the shape now because we know with this point, we could go 4 across, 4 up, 4 like that, and 4 like that. So that's your square there. So hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at the example on the right. So pick one of the points of the triangle. That's the first thing I would do. You can pick any point. I'm going to pick that one there. And then count how many squares it takes to get there. So 1, 2 across, and then 1 down. So now I know I need to multiply that by 3. So that means I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across, and then 1, 2 down. So that's where this point ends up. So if I now mark that point on, which was there, I can now draw the rest of the shape. So to draw the rest of the shape, that's just going to be times that bottom by 3. That's going to be a 6 there. Going up, that's just going to be 9. Oh, no, it needs to go one higher. There we go. And then just join that across there. So here's some practice questions. Press pause now and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. And finally, here we've been asked to describe the transformation. So in order to describe the transformation, the first thing you need to write down is the enlargement. So to go from shape A to B, it has a width of, just pick one of the sides and compare them. So this has a width of 2. This has a width of 4. So you know the scale factor is going to be 2. So we're going to write that it's an enlargement by a scale factor of 2. And then you need to write the center of enlargement. And now the way you get the center of enlargement is you pick a point on the big shape. So I'm going to pick this point here. And then I'm going to draw a line through that goes through the same point on the small shape, and we're going to extend that beyond that. Okay, so step 1, pick one of the sides on the big shape, draw a line that crosses the same side on the small shape, and extend that beyond. Okay, and you'll see what I'm trying to do in a second. And now pick another side. So we just have to do it one more time. You can pick any side. I'm just going to pick, let's just say that one there, and do the exact same thing. Extend that straight through that. And that is your center of enlargement where these two lines cross. Now you can keep going and do it for all the sides, but you don't need to. I could have even picked that side there and drawn a line through, and you will see that all of these lines pass through one point, and that point is called the center of enlargement. So then you would write the center of enlargement, and the coordinates for that are 1, 1. So hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at this example here. So the first thing I can see is that the width here is 3, the width here is 6. So the scale factor is 2. So you would write that it's an enlargement by a scale factor of 2. And then the center of enlargement, again, just pick a point on the big shape and draw a line that crosses through that same point on the small shape. And then pick one more point that is the exact same. So I'm just going to pick this one here. And it looks like it's that point there. So that would be, coordinates of that point are 18. And what is it on the y-axis? 7. So then you would just write the center of enlargement. And that's that there. So here's the practice questions. Press pause now and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. Now, if you would like some more practice, I've got a full worksheet on this link down in the comments below. And if you found this video useful, I've got loads of other content like this.